Hi everyone, welcome and thanks for joining me to learn about how to kill your company by not managing your risks. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of all the lands on which we are meeting virtually today, and I'm recording this session from Boonwurrung country. Today we are focused on how, through 5 steps, you can kill your company by poorly managing risk. For most people, risk is not very inspiring. In fact, most people tell me they would rather talk about anything else. Although experiencing the pandemic has forced leaders to face into risk management like never before. It's been a whole different level of risk. We've had to adapt and manage it fast and with incomplete information. And that's the world of risk. Risks are the effect of uncertainty on an organisation's objectives, including both potential threats and potential opportunities. First, if you don't understand the concept of risk across your team, you will create a disconnect and possibly be poorly managing your risks. As a leadership team, you must have conversations about risk. Understand what you each know about risk and how comfortable you are when talking about concepts such as criteria, assessment, profile, and so on. As leaders, it is good to have that shared understanding of what you do and don't know. So a question for you, how will you go about creating a shared language and understanding? Second, if risk is treated as an add-on, something to consider on the side and not integrated, then you could easily come unstuck. Risk is not separate. It is not another thing that you have to do. It is critical that organisations comply with their statutory and compliance requirements by which you are governed, such as the Australian Corporations Act and the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission, and that you also consider your own organisational and governance requirements. Once you understand these elements, requirements, and importance, you can then integrate it into your strategy and day-to-day operations. In so doing, your decisions will be based on sound judgment with appropriate information and therefore giving consideration to potential scenarios to minimise surprises, and no business likes surprises. Thirdly, not understanding your appetite for risk can kill your company. So what is risk appetite? It describes where you will take on risk and at what level. That is, which areas you will actively take greater risks for potential rewards and those areas that you will not. Balancing risk and return, opportunities and challenges, culture and values, priorities and capability. The risk appetite can be set out on a scale, such as you see here. It sets the boundaries. It shows where you will avoid risks in specific areas versus those areas where you actively seek risk and more or less tolerance in between. Understanding the specific areas of risks and their risk appetite is important for decision making and can be developed into your organisation's risk appetite statement. For example, your management of financial risk may be at the more risk-averse end of the scale, and your strategic risk may be more open to greater risk-taking. These tolerances are then described in risk appetite statements, as shown here. Fourth, without due consideration to your key risks, may result in missing risks or failing to prioritise them. The types of risk can be aligned and categorised into groups, such as strategic, financial and operational, but can be expanded as required. The risks in each category should be stated, specific and defined. Some examples of how risks can be stated are shown here. The elements described in these examples show you, in the first column, a category of risks, which may be financial, strategic, system, or people and culture. Next, we summarise the specific key risk, such as work health and safety. And then we define the key risk by describing it. The description links it to your organisation's purpose, operations, culture, and value. Finally, without assessing each individual risk against an agreed criteria, you could be mismanaging your risks, have poor resource allocation, or potentially further risk exposure. All risk must be assessed against your risk criteria. The criteria includes the likelihood and the consequence or impact of the risk on your organisation if it eventuated. To take this further, behind the criteria, you can explore, unpack, and determine additional parameters such as timeframes, organisational impact, and financial impact to help clarify the ratings. The ratings of low, medium, and high will therefore mean different things in different organisations based on these factors, your industry, and your risk appetite. From each of the above steps that we've walked through today, you are giving consideration to the key components of your risk management framework. Effective risk management includes the coordination of activities and allocation of resources to minimise, monitor and control the organisation's risk and maximise your opportunities. You've worked out how risk is identified, prioritised and managed in your business, and therefore how it will be operationalised and support the achievement of your organisation's purpose. If you don't build and understand your business's risk management framework, then you could be failing one or more elements of managing risks. In summary, risk management is about having discussions about the key components of risk and developing the framework to suit your organisation. So that you do not kill your company, review these 5 steps. Importantly, don't just put all this hard work in and do nothing. Use it and review it. It's not a set and forget. It's important that risk is actively managed and is a priority in your business.